Happy Vernal Equinox, folks. That's right. Happy first day of spring. It is here. The days are getting longer. I'm going to talk about that in the back half of this program. Welcome into the Discussion Combustion Production YouTube channel right here. Happy Friday, America. Kicking off your weekend, all the fun. My name is Kevin Batstone, and we are getting ready to let her rip tater chip on this first day of spring. Super excited. Couldn't do it, of course, without my man across the table. That's Mr. Arthur 38 Rawe.
Hey, we did hit another milestone in life, and be ready for the tests in life, people, because it's going to come at you. So really the one thing we can control is our attitude and our thoughts. That is my raw thought of the day.
I like the raw thought. Glad you're feeling better and ready to go here. What do we got in history? It looks like there's some disasters.
Yeah, I decided to go this route today in history. So March 21st in history, 1788, a fire destroys 856 buildings in New Orleans. That one, I didn't do extra research there. There was probably a death toll, but I didn't find that number.
This is around the time of a lot of the great fires.
Yeah, who knows what kind of conspiracies are around all that. I'm sure you could find at least 7. 1824, we have another fire. This one's at Cairo, and it's an ammunition dump. It kills 4,000 horses. I mean, it must have just been a military thing, and like the ammunition got blown up, destroyed, and the poor loss of horse life in 1824.
A sad ordeal, really sad. That's a lot of ponies right there.
That is. I mean, those are all war horses. I saw this thing the other day where it's like a horse finds out that dog is man's best friend, and they're like sitting there like, "What about all the wars, buddy? Like, what's going on with that?"
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They're definitely called workhorses for a reason.
Yeah. So that one's pretty funny. It's been a while since we hit nuke news. So I just want to do a 1958 USSR performs an atmospheric nuclear test. I don't really know what goes into these nuclear tests in the atmosphere. Does that pollute the Earth's atmosphere? I do believe so. And that's why we salvage sunken ships prior to the first nuclear detonation, because the metals are free of like certain materials. Interesting facts. 1969, U.S. performs nuclear test at the Nevada test site. And then in 2022, so this one's more recently happening, there was 178 wildfires, and they were all burning in southwest Texas. It was over 108,000 acres. And then at that time, the fire officials were saying that there were still 23 active fires. So in 2022, Texas was on fire. March 21st today in history.
A lot of fires happening. It's going to be that time of year. Right now, Homestead, Miami, Florida is burning, and that's cause for concern for where NASCAR is this weekend. So we'll see. Hopefully everyone's safe down there, but there is fires. NASCAR is keeping an eye on it. As of right now, the race will go on. More to come on that. All right, Art, I'm kicking it off with my dumbass and weirdo of the week. And this is a 48-year-old woman coming out of Melbourne, Australia by the name of Joanna Kinman. My dumbass weirdo of the week.
All right.
And so, I mean, just the title alone, she scoured a bin of dog vomit for human toes to sell for $400 on the black market. So let's get into some backstory here. This is a woman that's worked in the shelter industries for dogs for a long time. So, as you know, not just a doggy daycare, it's rescue animals, It's animals of deceased owners. And that's the case here. There was a couple of dogs that came in from a deceased owner that had started to consume the owner after about a week and a half. Okay. It was one of those like long deals, and they ate the feet of their owner, nipped its toes off, and it made the dog sick. Obviously, you're eating decomposing flesh of a human, and so when the dogs arrived at this dog shelter, started vomiting, puking it up, and they have a bucket or whatever that they throw the waste in, from the vomit, the shit, whatever, you name it.
Okay.
So Joanna Kinman, my dumbass weirdo of the week, decides to go through this bucket. Okay. Right? And find the human remains of these human toes, puts them in formaldehyde in a jar when she gets home, puts it on her shelf, which is also next to a lot of other weird things. Her children's baby teeth were preserved in there. There was other strange collection of items in jars. Like, we're dealing with one of those kind of people. Obviously, this got the attention of some legal authorities. They stepped in, got a warrant to search her home, saw all this weird stuff, and then she pleaded guilty to offensive conduct involving human remains. The court has since heard it. She's been placed on 18 months of corrective action, and that'll include 150 hours of unpaid community service.
Okay. And so she was after these toes for the potential of getting $400.
All that for the chance.
The chance.
Somebody would have to actually buy
on a black market.
On a black market, which a lot of weird shit happens on there.
And wasn't the toe like already partially like?
Well, it was decomposed and it was digested.
Yeah, it was slightly digested. So you think that kind of toe is even going to sell on the black market?
It's like a toe bone.
That's like a $200 black market toe. That's not a $400 black toe.
It's a toe bone.
A toe bone, yeah.
So
she's out here
buying toe bones.
I don't know.
Who is buying toe bones?
That's crazy, man. Why are people doing this in reality? Like, why are people doing this?
Yeah, and she really didn't have a good answer. I mean, look at some of these other oddity items she had. She had a guinea pig trotter, an alligator claw, a bird skull, baby teeth, and a lot of other strange things in her collection of jars.
That is so odd. I wonder if she got in trouble for anything else that they happened to find in jars, and that and it like led them down this path.
Well, and in conclusion, when the sentence was given down, they said this is entirely odd behavior, Miss Kinman.
Very odd.
So in conclusion, dumbass of the week, weirdo of the week, get some corrective action over there. My whole thing is though, when you're already into shit like that, like you do that, you're going to probably do something like this again. Like that wasn't a serious enough punishment.
Fixated on it. There has to be drugs involved.
There's probably drugs involved. I mean, why are you trying to get money from the black market on weird shit?
That's
like
weird.
There's plenty of other things you could sell for $400. An old guitar, whatever. You're going to go scour through dog vomit for human toes, get that toe bone, put it on the black market, hope someone buys it for $400.
Yeah. Would you call them the dumbass weirdo of the week?
Dumbass weirdo of the week.
Well, congratulations to her. That's a wild one.
Yeah, we started a little wild art, and now we're transitioning into something fun that involves something I love to eat.
Yeah, everyone has their favorite bag of chips, bag of crisps, whatever it may be. We've all heard about like these epic Cheetos, and Cheetos selling for a lot of money online if they're shaped like weird things. It's usually the crunchy Cheeto, not the Cheeto Puff. This isn't the crunchy genre. Okay, and you got your classic crunchy, and then
and puff,
and then you also have the flamin' hot crunchy.
Oh yeah, so no puffs.
Well, yeah, no, I do agree with that. You're not going to get these crazy shapes out of the puffs.
And for the record, I think the crunchy tastes better than the puffs.
I'm like back and forth. I think I really do love the puffs a lot, but the crunch.
I think we had a would you rather on this one time. I took the crunch.
I went the puff. I did. But either way, I found cool Cheetos. I found phallic Cheetos.
We had it in the studio somewhere.
We've had them around.
I thought it was in this file cabinet.
One Cheeto sold for almost $90,000, and the Cheeto was of a beloved Pokemon that we should all be familiar with, Charizard.
Super rare.
Yeah, and it was a flaming hot Cheeto on top of it. So not only is it Charizard, but then it's also flaming hot. This person made like a custom Cheeto holder that had like the what'd they call it? It was like mixing Cheeto and Charizard, basically. But cool little box. So apparently this Cheeto was discovered between the years of 2018 and 2022. And in late 2024, it started to catch a lot of social media attention. And then they put it out there with the custom holder, and they got 60 bids. They got 60 bids on this Charizard Cheeto. And it ended up selling for like $87,000.
Yeah, I guess there was a buyer's premium on the bid. So the bid itself, the winning bid was $72K, but then with the buyer's premium, it came out at $87K. That's a lot for a daggone Cheeto.
I know. So be careful when you're eating your bags of Cheetos.
You might be sitting on some gold.
Yeah, you might have something that's shaped. It's a unique Cheeto. These things exist.
What do you think happened to our Dick and Ball Cheeto?
I don't know what happened to the phallic Cheeto.
It was pretty legit.
I'm not too sure what happened to it, but
I think it might have gotten crushed during the move.
We'll just buy a bag, and
I don't know if we'll ever find it again.
A gem.
Well, it's going to make me watch my Cheetos a little bit closer now when I eat them. I might be sitting on something I can auction off for a couple few.
Yeah.
See,
it's crazy what people will buy.
You got this woman going for toe bones for $400. We got Charizard Cheetos going for $87K.
Yeah.
What is going on?
She's in the wrong business. She's
in the wrong business.
She needs to be going looking through some Cheeto bags.
Like, look at here. I got a fucking Cheeto that looks like a goddamn toe bone, motherfucker. That's what's going down.
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
Silliness, as we do here on Happy Friday. Keeping it moving to my random records. David Rush, I had to highlight him again. It's been a few weeks.
Rush Attack.
I always give him a shout out every week, but this week we're going to highlight what he did. So he has now created a new category of a record. So this isn't one that was beaten from a previous record setter. David Rush is now just waiting for Guinness's approval of this new record. He has successfully created a new title category of juggling in all 63 U.S. national parks. And so over the last 5 years, him, his wife, and his kids, who we had the privilege of seeing briefly on the Zoom call on our Discussion Combustion with David Rush that we did a few months ago, they went around and he filmed himself juggling in all 63 national parks. The other cool thing here is that he's starting to get the junior rushes going. Okay, because not only will his, David Rush, Papa Rush, be the first to hold this new record, his sons, Jeremy and Peter, completed the Junior Ranger program at each facility that they visited and have applied to originate the record for the youngest brothers ever to earn Junior Ranger badges in all U.S. national parks.
Nice.
And that'll be the first record that his boys hold together.
Nice. I love that. I mean, the energy and just commitment and lifestyle, that's something that it takes a lot of work, and you got to stay productive. And a lot of people out there, they like kind of question like what his, records have been about or how silly that thing is. But until you go out and you're actually trying, and I love how he's getting the family involved. So he's what you said he's been working on this for 5 years or something
to complete all
like
63.
that's a fun one. He was probably just holding that and like just slowly getting it done. It's an easy juggle thing.
It is, but you got to travel to all 63 parks. So that, creates some geographic challenges, traveling, staying overnight. You got to really plan this thing out. It's not like you can just do it, over the span of, you could do it over the span of a couple months, but you'd have to dedicate all your time to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably why it took 5 years, but what an honor to go visit all the national parks.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be just fantastic.
That would be fun. Now, what would the strategy be? Do you think you would go to the furthest one away and then work your way back towards home, or just kind of hit it like depending on what time of year it is?
Yeah, I guess it'd be weather dependent.
Because if you're going to do Rocky Mountain National, you would probably want to do that in the summertime.
Yeah.
You don't want to go up there when it's like minus
blistering.
4 unless you're really trying to get wild.
Yeah.
Which David Rush gets pretty wild. Record breaker Rush. He's out here killing it.
Dude, Rush is the man, and what a good father. I mean, what we've seen. And I love the random records, man. I never know what we're gonna get in there. Let's jump into the Would You Rather next.
The Would You Rather.
And we got to recap. Where's America sitting this week?
Well, so just a quick reminder, last week we said, would you rather consume, there's been speculation over the number, but we're just going to say consume multiple raw eggs for breakfast or only be able to eat cold soup for dinner for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
On our Twitter X page where we put up the polls every week, that's at Happy Fry USA, America has once again predictably gone 50-50.
All right.
And so you and I believe, both took the cold soup for dinner, and so we tipped the scale back that way.
Live action, though,
you pulled some data.
I got all egg.
That's interesting.
Like once people could choose like 2 or 3 eggs, everyone went with the eggs. Everyone was doing raw eggs for breakfast. And this was at a bar, like 5 different people.
Yeah, I would have been interesting to poll, like if you got the bar data, like I would have, like if you get the gym rats, because like some of those guys are all about the raw eggs for breakfast. But depending on the demographic you poll, I feel like you're going to get different results.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the cold soup. I like a lot of cold food. One of my favorite things is leftovers, so I'm sticking with the cold soup from last week. But thank you everybody for participating and giving us some replies on that. This week's Would You Rather is an interesting one. I think it's kind of dark.
We've been switching it up a little bit on these WYRs, and it's to get you thinking, really get the brain turning, not like just, bread or cheese. We're diving deep here.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and read this one off. Would you rather live underneath a sky with no clouds or no stars? So basically, there's like no clouds at all.
Blue sky all the time.
Blue sky all the time. But then, or there's no stars. So basically,
black sky all the time.
Is there even, so there's like no weather, no rain without the clouds?
Yeah, so if you take away the clouds, you're taking away all the elements that come with it. Weather, snow, rain, probably even rainbows, stuff like that. But if you take away the stars, now you do have weather, but you won't look up and see the Milky Way. You don't look up and see the North Star blinging off of something. But you won't see the Little Dipper. You're not going to see anything. You just see a black sky forever.
Just black.
So that's the way I picture it anyway. People can interpret it how they want.
But there would still be clouds in that sky.
In the night sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do take the, to have weather and not go with, basically if you're taking no stars, you can have weather.
Yeah, but and then there's just there's nothing else.
There's nothing else. So if you do have a
Yeah,
clear night, you're not gonna be able to see anything.
yeah,
And that's one of my favorite things about going into the rural part of nature, real rural,
real rule.
is seeing that beautiful sky. So with that said, I am going to live under a sky with no clouds. That's which way I'm going.
But can you live
Yeah,
on a planet if there's no weather?
sure. Yeah, I think there's other means, to get water. You could have a river that comes through, you
But
know.
that's like by rain.
Well, the river can run,
Like if it wasn't for the clouds and the oceans and
It's
everything.
true. It's true. There's a
I
lot.
I don't know. I think there's some technicalities that like if you are seeing it, if you choose to see the stars, then it's a lifeless planet because like you almost have to have like an atmosphere to and like have the clouds to like have.
Well, what if you're living in like an area that, like I look at somewhere like Colorado or Phoenix that already has 300 days of sunshine. So we already have a lot of blue skies, but weather still exists in other parts of the planet.
Yeah.
You're just choosing to live in an area that doesn't have it.
Okay, so it's not like this is impacting the whole planet, but if
No,
the
that's a personal decision.
okay, okay. So you're just talking
We're getting
about
into the
like
gray area
you're just
here.
talking about would you rather like on a night have some clouds or see the stars?
Essentially, yeah. And so I'm taking the no weather because I don't want snow. I don't
Yeah.
want any of that shit. And I want the beautiful night sky lit up, seeing those stars and the planets
Yeah.
blinging, shooting stars, comets, all the fun shit that happens in the sky.
Yeah. I really do enjoy the weather a lot. So I'm gonna keep the clouds,
Hey, man.
have a fun snowstorm, have a nice little spring rain, sipping my coffee, a light rain jacket on. I'm gonna miss out on all the weather stuff, that's gonna be sad.
That's okay.
So I'm keeping the clouds. We're 50-50 split.
Yeah, we'll see that beautiful telescope you have is pretty much useless.
No, you can see all the different things.
Well, if there's nothing to see in the sky, what do you look at? I mean, you could look at like red rocks or something, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to look up and see the cool shit in the outer space.
I could try to track airplanes with it.
Maybe you could sell it.
Hey, maybe yeah, because somebody else. Maybe I could sell it for $400.
You could create a bidding war or something like that. Either way, let us know, America, which way you going. Are you keeping the weather and the clouds, or are you 86 in the stars? Let us know what you think.
Yeah, because I was thinking like if you got rid of the clouds, then that's the whole planet.
Well, that's how you interpret it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
However
See,
you interpret it,
see, these would you rather could get crazy if
this
you
is
don't
why
have
we
some ground rules.
this is why we wanted to go a little deeper with our would you
No,
rather.
it's fun. I
Of
like
them,
it. I
some of
like
them
it.
could be a little surface level, but they get us talking here. So for everyone yelling at the TV screen right now, we get it. It's
Yeah.
it's part of it.
Yeah.
Interact with the show and tell us how you feel about it.
Yeah. Thank you. And then we got a bobblefish gang coming up.
The blobfish, Art. It's named the world's ugliest animal, and New Zealand just named it their fish of the year. Or
Okay.
fish, I'm sorry, not of the year, the fish of New Zealand.
Okay. It's official.
Yeah, it's official. They can grow to about 12 inches. It's officially known as Mr. Blobby, and it's the official mascot of the Ugly Animal Preservation Society, which I didn't even know existed.
Mm.
But so it's known as the ugliest creature, but also it is the fish of the year. So once again, just showing you, it doesn't matter what you look like. You can go out and own it at any moment, even if you are a goddamn blobfish.
Yeah, it's true. And I would have to double check the picture of this thing.
Oh, it's
Is it like the one that just looks like a face?
here. We're gonna pull it up right now, live action in our digital world, and we're going in for a look. Or you could pull it up on your tablet too, but I'm going to show the viewers here what this thing looks like. It doesn't even look like
It
it's
just
living.
looks like a face. It's basically like a face with some fins.
Yeah, I mean that's an overview of it right there.
Oh yeah, that thing is pretty ugly.
We'll get that up in here. People can get a little bit of a look at it. That's the blobfish.
So I wonder if that thing, because there was one type of fish when they pulled it up from the deeps
Yeah.
where it lived, it expanded because the water pressure.
The
was
water
changing.
pressure, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what created it to be ugly. I don't believe that's the same fish,
I don't think it is.
but the dog and Deadpool was like the ugliest dog in Britain,
Yeah.
and that's how I got into the Deadpool Wolverine movie. And so I'm really happy that associations like the Ugly Animal Preservation Society exist because it's just fun.
There's some ugly creatures out there, and a lot of them do live in the ocean. When we really think about it, there was a couple other competitors. The longfin eel, the whale shark, and the great white were in the top 10.
The whale shark
Was in the running for
ugly
for fish of the year in New Zealand.
Okay.
So those guys came up a little short. I don't know what kind of voting system they have, but it says that it took 1,300 out of 5,500 votes So I don't know if that's like a general public poll, if you have to be a member of this
Hmm.
preservation to vote in it. I'm not sure how that works, but it received enough votes to be the fish of the year. And they said, you know what? That's no problem to have the blobfish as our fish of the year in the land down under New Zealand.
Hey, I think it's fun, and you can bring awareness to these different species. And really, this planet is so amazing, and the oceans are alien, and there's probably so much that we haven't discovered yet.
There could be aliens living in the ocean, Art.
There could be, man, and we haven't been talking about that, but yeah, no one still is talking about that whole thing I was talking about months ago about all the alien stuff.
People really don't want to talk about shit that gets them thinking too hard. They want to stay in that TikTok comfort bubble.
Dude,
I mean, JFK files have been out 3 days. People are already moved on.
I haven't even looked into that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. There's 80,000 pages that have been unredacted.
Oh gosh.
So a lot to unpack there. We don't have the time for that right now.
We do not have the time for that because we have to make it a happy Friday. And it was a happy day when NASA astronauts came back after being
That was epic.
after being lost in space. So a lot of people have seen this news, heard this news.
They were abandoned in space, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they were left like, you guys have to figure it out on the ISS for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
So great article here. I'll let you run it.
Oh no, you're good. I love the insight because basically the world was all paying attention to this, and we all heard about it. When the pod came splashing down in the Gulf of America or Mexico, whichever you prefer. I didn't know this part, but there's actually a bunch of dolphins that got around there, and then there was like a pod of dolphins
They were curious.
that were welcoming in this ship, so or the pod of these astronauts. So on top of an epic story, what kind of an epic ending is that? Like you finally get back down to Earth after being stranded in space, and then you got these dolphins around and stuff. So I thought that was a nice piece of the story that I hadn't heard yet that I wanted to just put out there. You know, we're talking about the blobfish and then how beautiful the oceans are. So great segue into this one, but it got me thinking a little bit like what are all the negative impacts of being in space too long? So it can cause physical effects, muscle loss, cardiovascular issues, vision problems, immune system weakening, mental health challenges due to the isolation. I've been learning a lot about how important meaningful socialization is for the human psyche. So definitely happy that they can make it back, man. And they were welcomed by a pod of dolphins.
Incredible story. It was a fun video to watch. It's cool. The smart dolphins are very smart. So they knew what was going on. Like, this is an epic moment. We want to swim around. We want to celebrate. And one name that we have to celebrate here is Elon Musk, because if it wasn't for him and his leadership and his team at SpaceX, this would have never have happened. That man has been treated completely unfairly with all of his Tesla dealerships being burned and all the bullshit that you Americans are giving this man. It's absolutely ridiculous because he's a hero for doing this.
Yeah, look, you don't have to agree with everything everybody does, but it's ignorant to overlook good in the world, even if you can't agree with them all the time. That's my thoughts on that, man.
It's a good story.
Like it's not worth getting all riled up about.
No, we should be celebrating. That's a huge win for America, for these astronauts, for space exploration, and our lovely, smooth friend, the Dolphins.
Yes.
But fuck Miami Dolphins football team.
No, cool thing, man. And yeah, Elon, what he's done with SpaceX and like having that done, it's good that they came back. Imagine being in their head like you're trapped in space.
I can't imagine.
Like that's like a horror movie.
Well, think about your sea legs. If you've been stranded at sea for a long time, like readapting to gravity has got to be a weird feeling.
Yeah. It's hard. They can't even walk. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you must feel heavy. When you try to run in a dream or like throw a punch, you're like, oh, that's got to be what it feels like. I think when you come back to gravity.
Oh yeah, they're saying like if you were actually in space a long time, like the human body would change its shape. Like we wouldn't look the same if we were in a 0G environment all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we were Homo sapiens and old primitive humans, I don't think we ever thought we were going to go to outer space,
to the stars, which you will continue to see.
I will continue to see, and we'll watch the colonization of Mars, but that's another story for another time. Look, it's the first day of spring, Art. It's the vernal equinox, and one cool thing about the vernal equinox I remember learning when I was a kid is because of the pressurization and the way that the Earth's tilt is. Some say that on this day only, you can have an egg. If you take an egg, if you can afford those, and hold it up, you can get it to sit upright where it won't roll over.
Interesting.
So some say on this day only, an egg. I remember we would try it in our science class as kids
Yeah.
to get the egg to stand up. I can't remember if it worked or not, but one thing I love about this time of year is between now and the summer solstice, which is in 90 days, this is where we see the most daylight. And
Mm.
so depending on what part of the country you live in, you got to think if the closer you get to the equator, you're already seeing a lot of it, but the sun starts to shift back towards the northern hemisphere and the northern latitude this time of year due to our tilt. Unless you believe we're on a pizza and a flat earth, then just disregard this entire article because they think they have their explanation as to why days get shorter and light as well. They have it figured out. But my understanding of it on a globe, it's just simply the latitude as it moves across. So if you're in our latitude here, kind of in Central America, from like Salt Lake over, across to the mid-Atlantic, you're going to see about 2 to 3 more hours of daylight between now and June. That's when we see those 9 p.m. sunsets, Art, my favorite time of the year. And of course, once we get to the solstice, then the sun starts to retract and retract back the other way until we get to the winter solstice. So again, if you're up in New England and places like Seattle, you might see about 1.5 to 2 hours more gained. We're kind of in the sweet spot and so on and so forth. So just something I wanted to kind of talk about here. It's fun. We got great weather coming. Talking about in the 80s here in Denver next week. So
That's
it's
crazy.
really going to start to feel. I've always said Denver goes from winter to summer. We don't really have much of a spring,
Yeah.
and that's why.
Hey, I am excited. It feels like it's been winter for a really long time for some reason. Like it's just been winter. And also I'm excited for this because then you could actually go take one of those like 3:45 p.m. naps and then wake up and it's
Still
still
light.
sunny out. Yeah, because during like when it gets dark at 4:30, like you can't fuck around with those naps
I know.
because when you go take a nap and then you waking up and it's dark out, it like really is discombobulating.
Mm.
So I'm excited for this time of the year. Spring is notoriously one of my favorite times. I love it when the new leaves start peeping out and it's like all these baby leaves starting to grow and it's fresh. So I'm super excited. There's definitely 2025 has had its own challenges in its own way, and I'm excited for the new cycle. And
Oh,
it's worth highlighting.
it,
And people, go ahead and test that egg thing because I've seen
yeah.
some videos on that.
It's supposedly only on the vernal equinox, which
Mhm.
is for a 24-hour time period. It might even go 36 hours. I'll have to double check that.
Hmm.
But I'm going to give that a go today and see if that works because I'm fortunate enough to have some delicious eggs in my fridge. And so I'm going to make sure to test that out. But the other thing, you got to think too this time of year, Art, is allergy season starts kicking up. Ragweed, pollen. Once the pollen,
Mm.
I was real allergic to pollen growing up in New England. We get the pollen would be so thick you'd have a layer of yellow across Lake Winnipesaukee.
Mm.
You could like
Yeah.
scrape it and it would look kind of gnarly. That's how much pollen was in the air. I'd be sneezing all the time. So seasonal allergies are here.
Yeah.
That's kind of a thing. And for me, I feel like I have less allergies out here in Colorado than
Hmm.
I did in New England.
Yeah. Can you have allergies and then not have them?
I feel like the immune system, or however we process what you're allergic to, like because I was allergic to shellfish significantly as a child,
Yeah.
and that allergy has changed the older I've gotten. So I feel like we
Mhm.
do adapt. I feel like you get stronger, you can defeat things. I don't know. That's a good question. We're not medical experts.
No, definitely not. But I used to be lactose intolerant, and then that's gone.
That changed.
Yeah. So, and the opposite too. You could probably, you know, not have it and then have
Yeah, well, people develop
it.
celiac as they get older, which is that gluten insensitivity.
Mm.
I think a
It's
lot
because
of
they're eating like shit.
well, I think it's a lot of the poison that's in the food.
Yeah.
All the garbage that they put in there. The body's like, we don't.
It's horrible.
It's no good.
It's
So
horrible.
control what you can control. Enjoy the outdoors. It's that time of year again. And what do we got going on this weekend, Art? There's some fun things you could do. Open up the doors and windows. Maybe do a paint by number.
Paint by numbers
My dad's been killing them.
they can turn out really great. My mom's into them. I stole a paint by number one time.
Did you really?
Yeah.
From like a craft store?
I no, from my apartment because there's like this book area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was there and like somebody did it and like it's a freebie area. I drop off books there.
Was
And
it completed?
yeah, and here's the thing is my girl liked it a lot,
Yeah, but
okay?
but the point of the paint by number is to go through the experience of painting.
Well, yeah, but it looks great.
It does look good when it's done. Yeah.
So, thank you to whoever painted that because we appreciate it every day. And honestly, I think they would be happy if they knew that. But anonymously, no more. I'm the one. I'm the one who took your paint by number.
Well,
Okay.
that's breaking news. You heard it here first on Happy Friday America.
So I did it for my girl. She loved it. We love it. Um, you can invite everyone over to come hang out at your house. I'm gonna do that. I celebrated my birthday on the 18th. I'm gonna have the party on the 22nd. Obviously, you're invited, Kev.
Appreciate that. I have my racing obligations this weekend, so tentative there. I have not RSVP'd.
No, you have not.
But we'll see what the weekend brings. I know that the HVAC filters is a good time of year to change that out. The furnace ran all winter long, sucking up all that dust and debris. We got to clean it up. We got to get ready for the air conditioning to run. You don't want that thing all gargled up. That AC already costs enough to run.
Yeah, and it just keeps the air quality of your atmosphere way better. Do some reading, do some listening to audiobooks. I've been getting some audiobooks in. It's fun to fill the brain with non-social media indoctrination, whatever all that doom scrolling is. It's nice to slow it down a little bit and ingest some reading materials, some audiobooks. So that's what I suggest doing.
Readers are leaders.
And remember to live long and prosper this weekend. And we got MTG happening next Monday, as always. What's going on with NASCAR? What's going on with Miami?
Well, like I said, there's some fires in the Homestead, Miami area, so we're keeping an eye on that. If it gets too close, NASCAR's going to have to make a call. It's not safe for the fans and the racers to be out. There's smoke and things of that in the area, but they're confident that they're ahead of it. This is Friday the 21st. We still have a couple days. That could change, but depending on if everything goes without any issues, we're in Homestead, Miami, baby. 1.5-mile racetrack. We're well along into the season now. We're seeing who's running well. Josh Berry surprised everyone last week. So if you're in the Miami area and your house is not burned down, and you want something fun to do, go out and see the race. Tune in Monday night to Mash the Gas. Until then, y'all.
Absolutely. What a great program. And thank you so much for tuning in to Happy Friday, America. Hopefully, this is one of the best Fridays you ever had. We only have today. Live in the present. And on that bombshell, it's time to go live my life. Same with Kev. Hey, who's that? Frickin' Shims. Let's go.